All praise going on is most certainly due to the Most High, the God of the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Peace to you in the name of His Son, Jesus. I count it truly a blessing each and every single time that I can come before you to preach the word of God. Never do count it as a light thing to do so. I'm coming on extra late this evening. But I did want to deal with the second part of wisdom. I talked about what the Most High has done through wisdom. Now I talk about how it applies to man. And I'm going to pick it up in Proverbs, the first chapter, because in this short lesson, we'll deal with the beginning of knowledge and wisdom. Because again, what is knowledge? Knowledge means to know. Peace to you, brother. It's good to see you, brother. Understanding is the comprehension of what you know. And wisdom is the proper application of what you know and understand, so that they are all connected one to another. Okay? So to put it in perspective, to have knowledge is something like playing a stock market, which is nothing but legalized gambling. You can have the knowledge of a stock, but if you don't actually play the stock, or buy the stock, or sell, or do what you need to do at the particular time, that knowledge does you no good. So knowledge is good and understanding is good when it's applied. Okay, just so you know that. Okay, we want to talk about the beginning of it, and we're going to talk about what it brings you. Peace to you, sister. So this is Proverbs chapter 1 and verse. Actually, we'll just pick it up at verse 1 because he shows you what the Proverbs were given for. It says the Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David. Now, if you know Solomon, he is the wisest man, right? He was known for his wisest king. He was known for his wisdom. It said to know wisdom and instructions, perceive the words of understanding. Okay, so that's what Proverbs does as a book. Okay, the wisdom sayings, and here is all about wisdom, and you can apply it in your life. But it says something about the foundation of wisdom. It said, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction." What is he talking about here? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Once you understand or know that you need to fear the one that created all things, the one that I was talking about yesterday that created all things through his wisdom, that's the beginning of knowledge. That's the ultimate, because that's the knowledge that will lead you to salvation, that will lead you to eternal life. Again, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, the knowledge that counts, brothers and sisters. Peace to you, Sister Mary. Then it says, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. So fools reject it. That's why they're a fool. But now let's go to Proverbs the 9th chapter, see what else is said about this thing. This is Proverbs about wisdom. This is Proverbs the 9th chapter. And we can pick it up at verse 10. It said, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding. Okay, and what's the benefit of it? It says, for by me thy days shall be multiplied, and the years of thy life shall be increased. Now, we read about wisdom being personified, and how it talked about before these things of creation were brought forth, wisdom was there with the Most High, because that's how he did it, through wisdom. But when it pertains to us, we use wisdom, and what is it going to do for us? It says, for by me thy days shall be multiplied, and the years of thy life shall be increased. Okay, even if you just look at just certain circumstances in life, a lot of times people end up dead doing foolish things. They end up dead, they end up in jail doing foolish things. And you can avoid a lot of the pitfalls in life through wisdom. But now let's go to Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter. Here's a different, but again, dealing with the same thing though. And here, by the same author, Solomon writes the following. He says, because he wrote thousands of proverbs, but he says in Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, verse 12, it says, and further by these, my son, be admonished or be instructed. He said, of making many books, there is no end, and much study is a weariness of the flesh. Now, it isn't that you shouldn't read. It isn't that you shouldn't consume books and study, but you should understand ultimately what's the ultimate purpose for studying. What's the greatest point that you could get to? See, you can learn. It's really no end to that. You know, it's millions of books. I mean, you throughout the course of human history. I mean, you can go to Timbuktu. They're known for their books. The famous libraries of Alexandria. You got the Library of Congress today. You know, you have different books, but at the end of the day, if you don't come to where you're supposed to come to when it pertains to knowledge, what's the point? He says, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. See, you can read about a lot of different things. You look at human endeavor, any human endeavor books written about it. But at the end of the day, if you don't understand that you need to fear God and keep his commandments, then you don't have any true knowledge and wisdom or understanding. Because I'm talking true, because what you have is not going to sustain you. His word, brothers and sisters, is true. His commandments are the truth. And once you understand that you need to reverence him and do what he said, he said, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. And it said, for God, he tells you why. It said, for God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. Okay, peace to you, Sister Mary, Sister Noel, and Sister Ruth, Brother Anthony. Again, so once you understand you need to fear him, if you fear him, you're going to do what he says. And if you do what he says, it's going to bring about life, brothers and sisters. You're going to multiply your days. Let's go, and he tells us about this wisdom. Moses does pertaining to keeping the commandments. This is Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter. I'm going to pick it up at verse 5. Deuteronomy 4 and verse 5. It says, behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither you go to possess it. He says, keep therefore and do them. He tells you why. He said, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations. So understand, when you are doing this is your wisdom. Again, there is wisdom embedded in Torah, brothers and sisters, because it is the Most High telling you how he thinks. Peace to you, Brother Joseph. Good to see you there, brother. Because he's telling you how he thinks about things. So it says, keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. But the wisdom comes in with you doing just what he said. See, again, our knowledge, our understanding, our wisdom is finite. But if you have just the humility and enough sense to say, I'm going to do what he says, you look wise. If you use the Torah, if you use the scriptures, if you use the text as a lens to look at the world and apply it, you will be wise. It'll be a wisdom that supersedes what other people have, even though they may have a higher, quote unquote, IQ than you. So now it says, for what nation is there so great who hath God so nigh unto them as the Lord our God is in all things that we call upon him for? Okay. And what nation is there so great that hath statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law, which I said before thee this day? Okay. So they say but take heed, right? Only take heed to thyself and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen, lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life, but teach them thy sons and thy sons' sons. So we should pass it down from generation to generation, pass this wisdom down from generation to generation to generation. That's ultimately a part of the educational process, brothers and sisters, particularly if you look at the culture of the people. Torah, understanding Torah is what you're supposed to pass down. When it's talking about, matter of fact, let's read it real quick. Just real quick. This is in the Proverbs. Once again, Proverbs, the 22nd chapter, verse 6. It said, train up a child in the way in which he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. What are you training them up in? You training them in what thus said the Lord, brothers and sisters, as a child. As he told, as Paul talked about Timothy, he said, as that from a child that has known the Holy Scriptures were able to make thee wise unto salvation. You understand? See, that's the weird knowledge, wisdom, understanding you have to get. That's going to lead you to eternal life. That's going to lead you unto salvation. But now let's go to Job, the 28th chapter. And let's see what's written here, because Job, who was a righteous man, said a perfect man, one that fear God and eschewed evil. This is let's pick it up at 28, because he has some wisdom. The Proverbs, the 28th chapter and verse 28. And it says in verse here, in the last verse of this chapter, it says, and unto man he said, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and depart from evil is understanding. Again, when you reverence him, you're going to do what he says. And you're going to endure what he says. You're going to depart from evil. So it is wise to take what the Creator has given as instruction and apply it in our lives. Let's go to Psalms 119 division. Because here David talks about this and what the scriptures bring forth and the benefit of it. Psalms 119 and verse 97. It says, oh, how love I thy law. It is my meditation all the day. So what does he think about all day long? Torah. Then it says, thou through thy commandments hast made me wiser than mine enemies, for they are ever with me. It didn't say I didn't have enemies, but it said I'm wiser than them. So if you're wiser than your enemies, you can overcome your enemies. It said, I have more understanding than all my teachers, for thy testimonies are my meditation. He didn't say I had it because I'm just smarter than everybody else. He says, I have more understanding than my teachers, more than my teachers, because I'm focus on what you said. When you understand, brothers and sisters, when you're dealing with the law of God, you are acquiring the mind of God. The mind in regard to how to think about, again, human endeavors, how to behave, how to look at certain situations. He says, I understand more than the ancients because I keep thy precepts. And he said, I have refrained my feet from every evil way that I might keep thy word. Now, he's done that, but what is refraining from evil? What is refraining from evil? We just read what refraining from evil is. It says, and to depart from evil is understanding. He says, I have refrained my feet from every evil way that I might keep thy word. I have not departed from thy judgments, for thou hast taught me. See, he's taught them through what is written. He's teaching us if we would only take heed unto it. Peace to you, Brother Sanders. Good to see you there, brother. He says, how sweet are thy words unto my taste, yea, sweeter than honey to my mouth, meaning he's consuming the word. And it is a beautiful thing to consume the word. He said, through thy precepts I get understanding, therefore I hate every false way. Because falsehood is lies. But his word is the truth, and and lies are connected with foolishness. You live according to lies spiritually, like in your customs and traditions, it ends up being foolishness. It ends up being a detriment. But only if you would take hold unto the truth and live according to that. That's your wisdom. That's what we desperately need to do today. We the laughing stock of the nations as a people. So the point where people don't even want to be around us. Why? Because we rejected God, and then rejected him. We rejected his word. But he gave it unto us as our wisdom in the sight of the nation. But now let's go to James 1. Because if one doesn't have wisdom, who can you go to? James 1 and verse 5. He said, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God that giveth to all men liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. He said, but let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea driven with the wind and tossed. So, and it says, for let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. If you want wisdom, you know what you need to do? You need to pray unto him. Pray that he will open his word unto you, that you would see. Matter of fact, let's just read it. Let's go read it. We in 1 Kings. Let's just read it. 1 Kings. And we're going to pick it up at chapter 4 and verse 29. Actually, let's hold up for there and let's see what he actually asked for. We in 1 Kings. And we're going to pick it up at, let's see, chapter 3 and verse 10. It says, and the speech pleased, excuse me, I'm going to go up actually 3 and 3. It says, and Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of David his father, only he sacrificed the burnt incense in high places. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place. 1,000 burnt offerings did Solomon offer upon that altar. In Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, ask what I shall give thee. And Solomon said, thou hast showed unto thy servant David, my father, great mercy, according as he walked before thee in truth and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart with thee. And thou hast kept for him this great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day. And now, O Lord my God, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David my father, and I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in. When he means a little child, he's talking about a child in understanding. Okay? Because he was the first one that said that. You see that, and it don't mean he a little baby. He's just talking about, I'm a child in understanding. When it comes to that, even Paul talks like that. Jeremiah said, then said I, Lord God, behold, I am a child. Okay. So now, when he's talking about sending him to the people. Again, Paul talked about, thinking as a child, putting away childish things. Or even in understanding him talking about, I've given you milk. Because you can't talk to the people, you can't even deal with the meat. A child in understanding. But he says in verse 7, now, Lord my God, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David my father, and I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in. And thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. And he goes on to say, give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. But who is able to judge this so great type of people? So he said, give me some knowledge, give me some understanding. Then it said, and the speech pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing. And God said unto him, because thou hast asked this thing and hast not asked for thyself long life, neither hast asked riches for thyself, nor asked the life of thine enemies, but hast asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment. Behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee. Okay, so you see what he gave him, but he asked for. See, he's the one that gives it. Now let's pick it up at and we in 1 Kings still. Let's pick it up in the 4th chapter. Just talking about his wisdom. It says in verse 29, and God gave Solomon wisdom and understanding exceeding much, and largeness of heart, even as the sand that is on the seashore. And Solomon's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all the children of the east country and all the wisdom of Egypt. For he was wiser than all men, than Ethan the Israelite, and Heman, and Kokol, and Darda, the sons of Mahal, and his fame was in all nations round about, and he spake 3,000 proverbs, and his songs were 1,005. Okay, and he spake of trees from the cedar tree that is in Lebanon, even unto the hyssop that springeth out of the wall. He spake also of beasts and of fowl and of creeping things and of fishes. There came of all people to hear the wisdom of Solomon from all kings of the earth, which had heard of his wisdom. Okay, so that's just an example. If you want wisdom, hey, the Lord can give it to you. Again, you want to pray for it and then do the things, when you pray and ask for something and then seek him through his word. Don't just sit there and say, I'm praying for, I want wisdom and don't do anything. Because when you read about him and and what he was trying to understand, he came to the point, it's all vanity. He sought these things out. And then that's why he came to the point, let us see the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments. He's going to bring every worker to judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. Because he's talking about that's the whole, he said, fear God and keep his commandments. So this is the whole duty of man. He understood what your purpose in life is. So you can study and study and study, and ultimately that's not your ultimate or general purpose in life. You can study something all your life. You can study a lot of different subjects, but are you putting yourself in a position to be what he is, which is God? Okay. All right. So now, real quick, this brother said, Brother Edwin said, if we have a new covenant, should we stop following the old covenant and follow the new covenant, or follow the old covenant and the new covenant? Okay, let's go to Matthew. And we're going to pick it up in the 26th chapter of Matthew. Okay. And here we see the new covenant here, or the Messiah talking about the new covenant. This is on the Passover. Okay. And he tells us something on this day. This is Matthew, the 26th chapter, in verse 1. He says, and it came to pass when Jesus had finished all these sayings, he said unto his disciples, you know that after 2 days is the feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed and be crucified. So we know this. I'm just giving you a time frame. I'm going to skip down to verse 26. It says, and as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, take, eat, this is my body. And then he says something, and he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. Okay, or the forgiveness of sins. So his blood of the new covenant. See, it wasn't the blood of bulls and the goats. Okay, that redeems you. Okay, let's go to Hebrews. Because the question really, what is the new covenant? Who is it made with, and what is it? Hebrews. Peace to you, brother Nicodemus. Hebrews. We're gonna pick it up in. Let's see. We're gonna go because it also talks about it in the we're in the 8th chapter. You also read about it in the Old Testament, the new covenant. But let's see what the author of Hebrews says about the new covenant, because the Messiah said, Mashiach said that this is my blood which is shed, the blood of the New Testament which is shed for many for the remission of sins. So it said in Hebrews 8 and verse 7. For if that, actually, let's pick it up a little earlier than that. Okay. Let's pick it up. Let's just read into it. Verse 1, 8 and 1. He said, now the things which we have spoken, this is the Son. We have such an high priest who is set on the right hand of the throne of the majesty in the heaven. Lord said unto my Lord, right? Father said unto the Son, sit thou on my right hand, so I make thine enemies thy footstool. Jesus tells us in Revelation, he said, to him that overcome, like granted with him to sit on my throne, even as I became and sat with my Father in his throne. So it says, a minister of the sanctuary and of the true tabernacle, which the Lord pitched and not man. So what you saw on earth, brothers and sisters, the tabernacle, the temple, when you see these things, that's a pattern of what's going on in heaven. Okay. Then he said, he said, a minister of the sanctuary and of the true tabernacle, which the Lord pitched and not man. For every high priest is ordained to offer gifts and sacrifices, wherefore it is of necessity that this man has someone also to offer. So when you look at the priest of Aaron's lineage, the high priest, even they again, what they were doing was ultimately symbolized, it was a pattern of what of what the Messiah has done in making sacrifice. Even when you look at on the Day of Atonement, going from the holy place to the most holy place, beyond the veil, symbolizing the throne of God, which is what he has done. And even making intercession for the people, the high priest would do. That's what the Messiah has done. See, all those things, that was like he talks about the schoolmaster. That's all that's showing us, brothers and sisters, of what was to come. And in doing those things, we could have some understanding of spiritual things and what God has done for us, the Most High. But then it says, for every high priest is ordained to offer gifts and sacrifices with, if it is of necessity that this man have somewhat also to offer. For if he were on the earth, he should not be a priest, seeing that there are priests that offer gifts according to the law, who serve unto the example and shadow of heavenly things, as Moses was admonished of God when he was about to make the tabernacle. For see, said he, that thou make all things according to the pattern showed to thee in the mount. You got to do it exactly like this, because it's a shadow, a pattern of something. He said, but now hath he obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much also he is the mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises. Peace to you, brother. Then it says, for if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. Okay. And it was ultimately, now you got to think about it. It's the blood of bulls and the goats. The bull and goats, again, even that, the bulls and the goats didn't sin. Man sinned, thus you needed a man to die. But who's perfect enough to do it? That's when the Mashiach comes in. He said, for finding, so it wasn't, but still, even that covenant, it was the people. So it said, for finding fault with them, he said, behold, the days come, said the Lord. Now listen to what he's saying. He said, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. It's made with the same people. And you can take hold of this covenant. The blood for this covenant had been shed. The question, are you going to take hold of it? He said, for finding fault with them, he said, behold, the days come, said the Lord, that when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith the Lord. He said, for this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws into their mind. So it's in your mind. So he said, I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. And ultimately, that's what Israel's going to end up as a people. But yeah, he shed his blood for the new covenant. Because even when you look at those sacrifices, all that's pointing to him. All of it. All of it's pointing unto him. Let's go real quick to Hebrews, the 10th chapter. Because you ain't got all these sacrifices you got to keep making. He didn't make it. That's why even when he made the temple in the veil, written too, no more sacrifices. He is our atonement. He is our Passover. He's our sin offering. He's all of that. It said, for the law having a shadow of good things to come and not the very image of the things, can never with those sacrifices which they offer year by year continually make the comers thereunto perfect. For then will they not have ceased to be offered, because that the worshipers once purged should have had no more conscience of sins? But in those sacrifices, there's a remembrance again made of sins every year. All those sacrifices they were doing, they had to keep doing it. They had perpetual sacrifice, even oblation. Well, they had to always have a sacrifice. But he said something, for it is not possible that the blood of bulls and the goats should take away sin. See, you need your sins, the blood of bulls. That's like people take I've seen people take a lamb today on Passover and sacrifice it. What are you doing? For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and of goats should take away sins. Wherefore, when he cometh into the world, he says, sacrifice and offering now what is not, but a body hast thou prepared me. So now, if you think about it, when they went into, he sprinkled the blood of the covenant on the people, but again, and that was but again, you got to come under the Messiah's blood, and he shed his blood. let's hold on. I want to read something else. So, give me 1 second. Let's go. Let's just read it here. Let's go. This is just right here. Verse 9. He said, though, I appreciate you, Brother Will. He said, then said, lo, I come to do thy will, O God. In verse 9, he taketh away the first, that he may establish the second. By the which will we are sanctified through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ once for all. Okay, so even when you think about the new covenant, it's made with the same people, and it's still, he's putting it in your heart, in your mind. Because people, even when you think about with the friends, is people, you know, at the end of the day, you think, if you ever look at archaeology, you ever notice that if you look at archaeology, if you look at the Lachish reliefs, if you look at release of Israel during the Syrian captivity and Babylonian captivity, going into captivity, you know what you'll see? They had those fringes on. You ever notice that? They had a friend and they going into captivity. So the friend's supposed to remind you to keep the law. And ultimately, really, it's all supposed to be in your mind. It's supposed to be here. And so when you look at the teachings of the Mashiach, of the Messiah, that's why he's shining a light on the law. He says, you know, think that I am come to destroy the law of the prophets. I came not to destroy, but to fulfill one jot. For really I say unto you, one jot and one tittle shall in no wise pass in the law to all be fulfilled. Then he talks about adultery. But he said you shouldn't even be thinking about another man's wife to lust after, but then you've committed adultery in the heart. It is written, thou shalt not kill, but I say unto you, thou shalt not be angry with your brother without a cause. You see what I'm saying? So that's what it's like in your mind. Even when I read about Job earlier, Job, now talking about sacrifice, Job made a perpetual sacrifice for what his children may have, how they may have cursed God in their mind. Not that they said it out of their mouth. See, it's about thinking. That's why he could say, that's why you look at Job. He said, hast thou considered my servant Job an upright man, a perfect man, one that fears God and escheweth evil. See, it's all about the mind. So when you talk about the new covenant, that old covenant was blood of bulls and goats. This covenant is blood of the true Lamb of God. Okay, and we have to come up under that blood. That's the covenant we need to take hold on to. So with that, brothers and sisters, I want to remind you, we at the House of the Faith meet every Sabbath at 5925. Well, actually, we live stream it at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm so used to saying that. We're live streaming only at this moment until things become a little bit more normalized. Again, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time every Saturday on the Sabbath, right here on the Israel Teach YouTube channel, as well as on our website, www.israelteach.org. We also have Bible study every Friday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on Zoom. Look at the description of this video and you'll see, or many of our videos, and you'll see the information needed, or just going on the Israel Teach channel. You should see the video showing you how or what you need to do in order to be a part of that feed or the Zoom Bible study. And what else? Also, if you've been edified through the ministry and would like to leave a donation, you can do so on our website, www.israelteach.org. 100% of the proceeds go to the work of the ministry. Also, there are books available. Into each of Begin with Ships, The Pagan Origins and Christian Holidays, Hell Like Warfare, Like Burn Brass, Killing Black Innocents, For Then Shall Be Great Tribulation, and in Defense of Biblical Polygyny. With that, brothers and sisters, it is always my prayer that you are edified.